Alright, so tonight I'm gonna make some hamburgers. And I'm gonna do it my way, which is more of, I suppose, a low carb paleo way, which basically means without a bun and a whole bunch of stuff thrown on it. But I got this really cool thing for Christmas. It's a flat top. And if you've been following my Facebook stories, you got to see me unpack it and put it together. It's because you want me to cook you tasty food. Well, shouldn't you? Shouldn't you put it together then? I'll do the cooking if you put it together. No, okay. Right. But anyway, so real quick on the meat. So as you can see, I'm going to use grass-fed, and I go with the 85-15%. Preferably more fat in it, the better, if you're on a higher fat kind of diet rather than the lean. But you know, that's your call. So the thing with grass-fed, though, because you know there's been a lot of talk about red meat and everything, about like if it's good for you, bad for you, causes cancer, doesn't cause cancer. And the thing is a lot of those studies they group meat all together. And there's a difference. There's a difference between meat that comes from cows that are grain-fed, so their heads are down in the feed box feeding on grains, versus cows that eat out in an open prairie and they eat grass and everything. There's a difference, and it's a measurable difference, and the primary difference that you see is in the kind of fats that are present in the meat. So like this meat will be higher in omega-3 fats. Think of omega-3s kind of like coconut oil. Those are anti-inflammatory, and they're really good for your brain too. Yeah, so anyways, I always stick with grass-fed beef. Hey, you know, it's your call if you want to do beef or not. I don't do tons and tons of beef personally. We usually have it maybe once a week or something like that. Once in a while twice, but we usually we pretty much always stick with this. I'm going to be transparent. Okay, I have cheated and had some grass-fed steak when we've gone to some really nice restaurants. I live in Las Vegas, and there's some really good popular chefs out there, like I always say Gordon Ramsay steak. And yeah, they don't have a grass-fed one, but so I go ahead and get the grass-fed. But okay, so I'm gonna do up a hamburger here, and I'll save you every single step, but I'll show you all the things that I end up putting in and what I'm doing. All right. Okay, so here's some of the things I'm going to be throwing into the party, or they're coming into the party, right? So I'm going to do bacon, and this one is Whole30 approved, USD organic. There's no sugar, and it is no nitrates. I'm going to do a little bit of grass-fed cheese, and I don't do the tomatoes necessarily myself, but there's some other people eating. They like tomatoes. Definitely avocado. If you're low carb, that's like your best friend. Hopefully you like them. I'm going to cook up one of those, which is a jalapeno, and squash here. I'll roast that and throw that on there maybe. And then this will be, you know, some people make a wrap with this, like this will be their bun. I just kind of do a little bed, and I put my meat on top. All right, and then over here I've got some mushrooms that I've cut up. I've got an onion, and I have a red pepper. So for me, what I like to do is I like to take these three things and that jalapeno, and I throw them in a skillet, and I'll put some grass-fed butter in there, like Carrie's Gold grass-fed butter. And then I'll just kind of let it cook on like medium low for a while until it just cooks down, until about the place where I like it to be cooked. And you can see I put some butter in there. I'm using the Carrie Gold grass-fed butter. That one's the salted one. Also, what I put on my burger, I forgot to mention. So these are potatoes that we have pre-roasted, and I kind of overcooked this one a little bit, unfortunately. So these go in like a 350-degree oven, and then I roast. This takes about, it depends on the size, you know, I mean, sweet potatoes, they come real big or small, it all depends. It's roughly 40 minutes to an hour. This one here would take about 35 to 40 minutes in a 350-degree oven. And then this takes about an hour to hour and 10 minutes roughly for potato, kind of like that. So I roast them and cool them, and you might have already seen another post I have on the Facebook page of Carb Haters, how cooking and cooling starches actually reduces the glycemic index, so it doesn't raise your blood sugar as much. But there's still carbs, so you still have to, determine how much you want, if you want it. But I like sweet potatoes. My wife likes the regular potato. And what I'll do is I'll just do some little slices. And I don't do a lot, but they just add a little flavor to the hamburger that I make. And then I'll fry them on a skillet using like some coconut oil or avocado oil. So something like this, and I'll use refined so it doesn't taste like coconut. And don't char it up too much. You don't want to char too much on there, but you just kind of cook it a little bit, and that's a nice little added thing onto the hamburger. So you kind of see how mine turns out when we're all done. Okay, I wanted to show you real quick how I cut up this squash. So I just did a cut which was about, that big right there. And then I cut it in half like that. And then that gave you pieces like that. And then I cut it down the middle again. So you get just little wedges. So I got some wedges that kind of look like potato wedges or something. And I'm going to end up roasting those. Alright, I got my squash wedges, or as my son calls them, wedgies. I got that in a bowl. I've got some avocado oil, which I'm going to toss them with. And we're just going to use some pepper and some salt. And of course, pepper is if you can tolerate it. And anyways, I just put a little bit of that stuff in, I'll mix it all up, and then I'll end up throwing it on that sheet pan over there. And it's a good thing to preheat your sheet pan. So I got the oven at 350 degrees, and then I'm going to go ahead and preheat my pan. And then I'll end up spraying it with a little avocado oil spray. So I'll spray that, and then I'll throw those on there. And also I got to cook the bacon in there. I usually cook my bacon at 325, but 350 will work as well. Alright, so I'm about to start building some hamburger patties. I'm going to throw these into the bowl, and I will spice it with some salt, some pepper. I'll probably throw a little bit of avocado oil in there just to help it kind of bind together. And then I found this a while back, Paleo pink salt. They have this there's a place called Sprouts near my house. They have it there. I'm sure you can buy this online. This is really, really yummy. And I fear that I don't have enough in there. So we'll see. Maybe if I have to add more stuff, I might add paprika or something. But you know what? If you've made hamburgers before, you probably have some that you like. But that tastes pretty good for me. Anyways, what I'm going to do is throw those in there. I'm going to mix that all up. And then the way I do it, I line up a cookie sheet with some parchment paper, and I'll make my patties on there, and I get scissors and I just cut them out so I can just kind of stack them up, so I can just throw them on the flat top or grill or whatever it is that you're using. Okay, so I'm about ready to start cooking. I've got some hamburger patties here. You can see I got a couple different ones. These are for some guests that they brought over. Made those. I'm going to drop some coconut oil on there. Sorry, it's kind of dark. Here's the thing. Let's talk a little bit about cooking our hamburgers for a moment. This is a Traeger grill, so it's a smoker where I don't know if you can see in there, but there's a metal plate that's down there that protects it. So basically it gets indirect heat. So that indirect heat means that we bring the hamburgers up to temperature kind of slowly, even though it can be quickly, but it's not over a direct flame. Now, how you cook your meat matters greatly, because if you cook it where it turns like real black, that crust that is so good, I know, it actually becomes more carcinogenic, and that's when it can cause, things like with all the studies that they show and stuff that are bad for you as far as any kind of meats go. The way you cook it, not only the quality of the meat, but the way you cook your meat also matters. Now, this is the first time I'm cooking with the flat top, and I'm gonna, kind of play with it. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably get some caramelization on there. It's good, and hey, if it happens, it happens. That's your judgment call on how you want to cook your hamburgers. But I just wanted to throw it out there. You know, the more crust you have, the darker it is, the worse you're making it by making it more inflammatory. So the general idea is to bring it up slowly in temperature. So that could be like on indirect heat or something like that. All right, I'm gonna get to cooking these. I'm gonna throw a little oil down. I'm gonna throw my meat on there. All right, she's rocking and rolling. I took my bacon out of the oven and I was like, why am I not cooking it on here? So cooking it on here. I could have done my vegetables on here too. So what I didn't show in the video was this is the squash. So I mixed it up with the salt and pepper, roasted it in the oven. And then when I build my hamburger, I just started out with some Dijon mustard, and I put that on top of lettuce. Then I added some avocado mayo, and from there I added my bacon, and I added those veggies, which I put on the skillet with a little grass-fed butter and brought those up to temperature over medium heat. And then I put some guacamole on there, and you might see I snuck a little roasted garlic on there as well. I forgot to show that. And then I put the little sweet potato rings on there that I reheated up, and that added a little bit of carbs. You know, that's your call, but it doesn't, that's not too many. That's very little that I added on there. That might add about 20 or so. Okay, so there is Lindsay's burger. Got that and the potato in there, looks pretty good. Mine done up just a little bit different with some sweet potatoes and my my veggies that are caramelized on the skillet. Alright, so that is the Paleo hamburger that I just made right there. And I'm ready to dig in. Thanks for watching.